And so I would I'd get home and I would shotgun like 3 steel reserves before I got into the house. And it was not good. And then divorced, remarried again for the 3rd time.
You got a rap sheet.
Yeah, dude.
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Marriages. I was addicted to marriages, I think. And about a year in, she looks at me one day and she says, "You drink every day." I was like, yeah. But it's only a few. It's not a big deal, right? Well, that was a mistake because now she's counting, okay? So I start doing this weird sort of garage to fridge rotation program, right? As long as there's only a few in the fridge, then I'm good. She figured it out in 2 days. That's way more than a few you're drinking.
Yeah.
Way more. Right?
Thought you were being clever.
Ryan, the problem with trying to outsmart somebody that's A, already smarter than you, and B, not drunk is it doesn't work out very well.
Oh, yeah. I'd fill up my pints with a half gallon and thinking that nobody would ever notice. And it's like, why are you getting blacked out from a half of a pint?
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Hey everyone, just want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Sober Strong Apparel. Sober Strong Apparel isn't just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. We got heavyweight tees, hoodies, and gear for ones who draw a hard line. So if you go to soberstrongapparel.com, use code ROCKBOTTOM, all one word, capital letters, ROCKBOTTOM, for 15% off. Used to be 10%, now you get 15% off. So check it out. Quality of clothing is amazing. Definitely look into the Impact Sponsorship Program. It's amazing. 10% of all purchases go to treatment facilities. So it's going to a good cause. I love what this company represents. Check out soberstrongapparel.com. Use code ROCKBOTTOM. 15% off, y'all. Enjoy this episode. All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I'm here with my guest today from the Way Out podcast, Charlie. Charlie, how you doing?
Doing well, Ryan. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah, glad to have you on. I'm glad I found you. Met on Instagram, I see, and we're just doing a little podcast exchange. I kind of like it. So just wanted today to hear more of your story and your background, since people know already too much about mine. So let's hear a little bit about where Charlie comes from and start off with a few basic questions. What was your drink or drug of choice? How long have you been sober? And where you're from and all that stuff?
All right. So yeah, drug of choice was alcohol. Alcohol was my first love and ultimate downfall, though I am liable to get addicted to just about anything that feels good. And there was a lot of addiction whack-a-mole in between my first encounter with alcohol and my ultimate downfall. There was a lot of addiction whack-a-mole in between, for sure. So
yeah,
that's how my journey went on that side. And my recovery date, I keep one. Not everybody does, and I think that's great. Well, it doesn't always work for everybody to keep a recovery date, right? For me, it works, and I keep one, and that is December 2014.
Oh God, wow, going on 11 years now. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, I like the math in your head, man. Well done. That's great.
Congratulations.
I even have to think about it as my recovery date. So, well
incredible.
done on that, man.
So,
yeah.
All right.
11 years, yeah.
Let's kind of go start off then. Let's go hear about the early days. What was your childhood like? Your family dynamic growing up? How did you kind of get into that first using as a coping mechanism, or was it a coping mechanism?
Yeah, for sure, man. So for me, I grew up, I'm from Minnesota, so I think that was another question off the top. So born and raised and still live in Minnesota, proud Minnesota boy here. And family life was good until it wasn't. I'll say that. And, I had a pretty idyllic early childhood with my mom and my dad. At 9 years old, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer. And she died when I was 11 years old.
Wow.
And
I'm sorry
that
for your
was
loss.
definitely, a extremely traumatic experience for the whole family, me included. And it turned our world upside down. And I didn't have any tools to be able to, and I kind of shut down, man. It was so overwhelming. And I made a pretty clear choice at that time that I was going to do this thing on my own. Uh, Being too close to people is too big of a risk. And so the big lesson I took away from that at that time was don't get too close to people.
Because you might lose one.
Don't do that because you will get hurt.
Yeah. Losing your mom at that young age kind of instilled that in your brain that it was just, you were going to
It did.
kind of keep your distance and set boundaries right away.
Absolutely. No question about it. Yep. Like, I cannot get that close to somebody ever again because I can't handle losing somebody like that again. So
Yeah.
I withdrew and I isolated, and I really believe the first way I changed my feelings was food. And so that certainly became that first source of comfort, that first source of trying to ameliorate my pain. And I became a fat kid, man. And I got bullied mercilessly, man, in middle school. That was also a very traumatic experience for me on the heels of losing my mom, getting bullied. I also had, and I think it's just important to say this, because if anybody else has experienced this, I want people to know that you're not alone, A, and B, that if we are able to voice it, it will be that first step in the journey of healing. I was um, sexually abused by a cousin right before my mom died. And so I had these like three sort of distinct traumas that happened pretty much in succession.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that I have big addict and alcoholic switches. It's all over my family. Alcoholism and addiction is all over my family. So, man, they were bound to get tripped, but the
It's
trauma definitely was a fuel to that already smoldering fire.
Yeah, I mean, just having, as far as bullying goes, I dealt with it to an extent, not as much as a lot of people did. I tried to do my best to protect people from bullying, but I still was bullied in some ways. And I just remember I was already really low on myself, but I know that that even made my sense of self worth and self confidence just go down the drain. I remember I got to the point where I was
Absolutely.
almost trying to pretend I was sick to not go to school. So
Totally,
it's
man.
just, yeah.
Totally. Absolutely. I think one of the things that I've learned through my recovery is to keep the things that happen to me in the right perspective, not overemphasize it and over identify with it, but also not to minimize it. And I've done both. I've over identified with it, and that's not healthy for me. And I've minimized it at times, and that's not healthy. Understand that it happened, understand why it caused me to do the things I did afterwards. Like, that makes sense. One of my favorite questions in recovery is, why does this make sense?
Yeah.
And
It's a great question.
yeah, right? And so we can ask that of ourselves. Why does this make sense? And, I've been able to move through that stuff. But yeah, so the first time I tried alcohol, man, I was 16 years old, maybe 15.
In high school.
And, huh?
In high school, and you'd gotten past were you still kind of going through any of the bullying at the time, or was drinking
No, I
kind of
had
getting
dropped a
you?
bunch of weight on purpose, right? And I loved that. Like, I didn't have a control over a lot. I didn't have control over my overwhelming feelings. I didn't have control over other circumstances and other people. But boy, I had control over my weight.
Yeah,
And I
that's
loved
awesome.
that. So no, I shed a bunch of weight coming into high school
Kind of a
and
restart for
loved
you.
the power that gave me over the bullies. right? Because they had nothing to pick on me for anymore, right? And I hurt my knee skiing. I was going down a Black Diamond ski hill racing my brother. And to that point, I had been kept out of drugs and alcohol and partying because I played sports. And so that filled that time vacuum. And I hurt my knee and blew my ACL racing my brother. He was like a half ski length ahead of me, my younger brother. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Am I going to let my younger brother beat me? And I gave it everything I had. And I hit a ridge and my binding didn't release and popped my ACL. And I was out of sports and had a bunch of time on my hands and went to a party that a friend was having. His parents were out of town. And I remember, Ryan, the feeling that alcohol gave me. It unlocked things in me that prior to that moment, I had not been able to access. I could stick up to the guys. I could flirt with the girls. I could be the life of the party. All my anxiety was gone. All my depression was gone. It was magical. Yes, it was the answer. And I just kept drinking and drinking and drinking that night. They tried to cut me off and I wouldn't have it. So they stuck me in a dog kennel outside, caged me up. And when they went to check on me a couple hours later, I wasn't breathing and my lips were blue. And my best friend somehow, by pounding my chest and giving his best version of CPR, revived me. And I'm blacked out. I don't remember this. And then they proceeded to feed me an entire bottle of syrup of Ipecac, and I threw up in that dude's garage for hours and hours.
Jeez.
And all I wanted to do was feel that way again, and I didn't care what it cost me.
Yeah.
Didn't care. Plus, I had serious party cred now. Like, you might be the captain of the football team, but I freaking died and came back to life again.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
like that. Serious
Charlie knows
party
what's up.
cred. And so, yeah, man. So that started it. And I just tried to drink as much as I could. Like, underage, it's hard to get it. It was a lot easier to get weed. So I smoked weed basically every day because it filled the void between when I could drink, essentially. So I became a daily weed smoker and a drinker as much as I could.
Did you see it as, at that time, at that age, did you see it as a way of numbing your feelings of losing your mom a few years prior?
I think in the back of my mind, I kind of knew what I was doing there, but I piled a bunch of rationalization on top of it.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. I can quit anytime I want. I just don't want to.
How were your grades in high school? Like, how were you still doing sports at all, or what was going on?
No sports because of my knee. And then at that time, I got into a completely different crowd, right? And so I definitely fell into a much different crowd. So I was in a garage band with my brother and a friend and a couple friends. And so I fell in love with music for sure. And so we played music. We did that a lot. Like, I'd come home. That was the one thing I had that wasn't drugs or alcohol, was music. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved playing guitar. I loved songwriting, loved jamming. I loved all of it. Right? Like, man, we'd get home from school. My younger brother and I, he's 18 months younger than me. We didn't even say a word. We just dropped our backpacks, man, went up to the jam room upstairs. God bless my dad for allowing us to have that. I think he knew we needed it. And we just jam. And it was such an important release for us. And so in so many ways. But yeah, man, I was definitely in the party, sort of that crowd for sure at that time. And so, yeah, sports were out, music and partying was in, and I just did that as much as I could.
Awesome. So when say you hit age like 18, 19, did it start to progress beyond, say, just the drinking with friends and partying, or did it start to become more of a wake up and drink kind of thing? Yeah.
It did. And every time I drank, it was out of control. Like, every time. You know what I mean? And like,
you never knew how to regulate it.
So the time I didn't want to. In fact, I can't remember a time back then that
was me too. I would drink
was not the
to have
point.
fun. I would drink to just get effed up.
That's it. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, it was a mission to get loaded. So that moderation was not even part of the equation. Why would I want to do that? That's not what I want, right? And so I didn't even enter into it, right? But like, there was two camps of people too that knew what happened to me, which most people did. One camp was like, you don't probably need to be drinking anymore, right? Like, that's alarming. Your
Yeah.
drinking behavior is alarming. And then the other camp that like roots you on and
I
thinks
know.
that it's the
There's always
best
two
ever,
sides.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be
Yeah.
like, "No, you
So
need to calm down. I'm not drinking with Charlie." Or, "No, let's party with Charlie. He's the one who's the life of the party."
bam, you
Yeah.
got it. Yep, you got it. And then you just fall into the people that think it's great, right? And that's just sort of how that is. And every day was a mission to get loaded. That's just how it was. And yeah, my grades were good. Like, I was the kind of person that could not have to put a lot of effort in order to get A's and B's because I just knew how to do that. But at the end of high school, it definitely was taking a toll because I wasn't even going to school at the end, right? And
Really?
ended up not having enough credits to graduate and had to go to ALC, which technically stands for Alternative Learning Center, but really stands for A-hole's last chance.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
got
remember
my
I had some friends that went to those.
right. Yeah. And actually, so I do that, and I only had to go for one little like semester. And then they tell me that I had enough credits to graduate anyway, that they had made a mistake. And so I put that in
Wow.
my resentment bucket,
Yeah.
right?
They just wanted to open your eyes a
You
little
bet.
and be like, "Hey, this is the direction you're going."
Yeah. Yeah, so I just added that to the resentment bucket, and here we go. Right. And so every time I drank hard liquor, I blacked out. I couldn't control it. Like, that was a problem. So like after high school, I'm working at Best Buy at the time, and like I go to these parties and I would black out. And this last one I went, well, not last one, but one time I went to one and I ended up blacking out and getting in my car to drive, and they're all trying to stop me. And if realize the kind of people that I hang out with and they're trying to stop me from driving, like, yo, that's a problem. Right. But I'm like, no, I'm going. I'm either going to run you over or you're going to let me go. I crashed into a brand new Ford Mustang. I crashed into a garage, and then I made it like 2 blocks and crashed into some cars on the side of the street, like rolled out of my car. And that was my first DWI. And I get a nudge from the judge to go to a 12-step program. And
Any injuries
get
on the Mustang or anything?
no, thank God, Ryan. No, property damage like you wouldn't believe by crashing into somebody's garage, a brand new Mustang and another car.
Wow.
But thank God I didn't injure anybody.
I was
And
once driving my Mustang and I was trying to show off to people and do donuts in a parking lot that was icy, and I ended up driving my Mustang into an apartment building. So I'm never proud of that
Oof.
one. But I escaped the DUI. I booked out of the car, left it parked, ran into my house, pretended I was sleeping, and my roommate answered the door to the police, and I just pretended I had no idea what was going on. And nobody got injured. My car was destroyed, and I had to pay the apartment complex for damages.
Wow.
Sorry to cut you off,
These
but
are the
just the
kinds of
Mustang
things,
accident.
man. Yeah, these are the kinds of things when we look back at these things, dude, can't believe the things that I was capable of doing prior to getting sober, man. Like,
Same.
it
Same.
boggles my mind for sure. So yeah,
I would
nudge
have
from the judge. I had to go to A and get a card signed. And man, I wasn't trying to get sober. I should say I was in treatment when I was 16 as well. My parents forced me to go after that party incident. And both times, like, I ain't trying to get sober here.
Yeah. You think you're young, it's like you justify drinking and everybody's doing it. But
Totally. The first time in treatment, I was like, I just found this. Are you kidding? Like, I have no plans to stop. And it was sort of like graduate school for addicts, right? I just met a bunch of new people that could get new fun stuff.
that's so true. Oh my gosh. That's how I would have looked at it. If I went in my early 20s, I would have been like, all right, you my new dealer or something? Like,
You
what?
bet. So you can get what now? Cool. Right?
Sweet. Let's move up.
I remember graduating from that treatment program. I'm 16 years old, right? And like I'm waxing poetic about recovery steps that I'm not working, right? And they're passing the coin around. And like everybody, Charlie, you're gonna stay sober forever. Charlie, I wish I had the wisdom you did. And then Eileen, the head treatment counselor, tough old Irish broad, usurps the circle, takes the coin, looks straight into my soul, and says, "You're lying to this group. You're lying to yourself. You're going to use again, and it's probably going to kill you." And she walks away.
That's
And,
yeah.
and
Drop the mic on that one.
dude, like every time my addiction and alcoholism became unmanageable, Eileen came into my consciousness, right? Every DWI, every lost relationship, every close call
She was warning
where
you.
yeah, dude, she saw it and she wasn't buying anything that I was selling, right?
Yeah.
But still, like, so yeah, so the second time around, 12 step, like, again, I'm fine. Like, I realize that it's been a bit of a problem, but now that I know what I know, I'll be fine. I mean, I
Yeah. Yet
now
they call that
fast forward.
"you're eligible too" is what "yet" stands for, apparently.
Yes, or the not yets. We call those
Yeah.
the not yets,
Yep.
right?
You know it.
No, them's are the not yets. So fast forward, man. I am over the next 10 addiction switching, addiction whack-a-mole, right? And periods of being dry, that becomes unsustainable. And so I eventually fall back to alcohol. I use other addictions to fill the void.
What was another addiction
And
that kind of came across? Was it like cocaine or hard drugs, or what were you?
yeah, weed for sure in the beginning. And then once alcohol was a lot easier to get, then alcohol, but workaholism, right? Definitely food, definitely. So sex, all of those, right? Porn, yep, right? Like,
Yep. It all adds up.
what? So it was sort of like that. It was like, see, I can quit anytime I want. And then boom, porn addiction, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, you're just switching. You're
Yeah.
switching. That's what you're doing, right? And so it was just every time one would become out of control, I'd stop, and then another one would surface.
So true. Because you're not doing anything to help yourself. You're just kind of like
That's
a dry
it.
drunk, you know? Yeah.
That's it. And that's
Yeah.
what I was. I was a dry drunk. And then once I got divorced for the first time, then alcohol could come back into the picture. And it
Nobody's
did.
there to nag you or criticize you.
You got it. Nobody is monitoring.
This all makes too much sense.
That's not good for a kid like me. Yep, you got it, man. Like, that was it. Like, the reason I wasn't like massively drinking while I was married was because she knew I was an alcoholic and she wasn't going to have it. And so I did other things. Right.
Yep.
And then once she was out of the picture, boom, alcohol. That's what I wanted the whole time, anyhow.
Now you can do it without any judgment.
You got it. Yep. Jekyll and Hyde, too. Like, I'm going to put as much of a functional face, right, as I can, and drink like I want to when nobody's looking, right? When the kids are gone, especially, yikes, dude. Yikes. And somehow randomly, like every year, I would talk myself into like it's okay to have hard alcohol again, right? And every single time, dude, I would drink hard alcohol. I would black out and not know how I got home and do the fun thing when you wake up, like, how did I get here? And looking at your car to see if there's any blood on it, right? Like,
Yeah.
or anything broken. Like, that's alarming. And then, okay, I can't do that again, right? Like, no hard liquor. You got to stop that. So yeah, it was all about trying to find this like perfect amount that was going to satisfy the void, fill the void, but also not cause massive consequences. And it was always an elusive target because every time I started drinking, I had a really hard time stopping. And I
Was a
definitely
lot of it?
identify, huh?
Oh, was the majority of it social, or were you starting to drink alone a lot?
Definitely alone. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
definitely
in the mornings.
alone. Huh?
In the mornings, experiencing withdrawals, stuff like that.
So I did, but I didn't recognize it even. I was so out of touch with my body that I didn't even really recognize it. And so I had a rebound marriage in between. I call it a rebound marriage because it was like inside of a year. Okay. That was awful. And
Another drinker, maybe, or
shoot, weed.
weed. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I would like, dude, I'd get home and I would shotgun like 3 steel reserves before I got to the
Wow,
house. And like, yeah, it was not good. And then divorced, remarried again for the 3rd time.
you got a
Uh,
rap sheet.
yeah, dude.
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Marriages. I was addicted to marriages, I think. And about a year in, she looks at me one day and she says, "You drink every day." I was like, yeah. But it's only a few. It's not a big deal. Right. Well, that was a mistake because now she's counting. Okay. And so I start doing this like weird sort of garage to fridge rotation program, right? Like
Hmm.
as long as there's only a few in the fridge, then I'm good. She figured it out in like 2 days. That's way more than a few you're drinking.
Yeah,
Way more, right?
thought you were
Like,
being clever.
Ryan, the problem with trying to outsmart somebody that's A, already smarter than you, and B, not drunk is it doesn't work out very well.
Oh yeah, I'd fill up my pints with a half gallon and thinking that nobody would ever notice. And it's like, why are you getting blacked out from a half of a pint? I'm like,
I know,
oh, because I filled it up 3 times. That's why. So I totally
but we
get the
think we're
movie pulled.
geniuses.
Yeah,
Yeah, we think we're geniuses, don't
yeah.
we? I love
Gosh,
that so much. I love that so much. And so she comes to me and she says, "I think you have a problem." I don't have a problem. I can quit anytime I want. She's like, "Sweet, do it." I was like, you know what? I should have seen that coming. Should have probably seen that one coming. So I quit for 30 days on Marlboros and Resentments, which I don't recommend. And at the end of that 30 days, told you, I don't have
gosh,
a
I
problem.
I did the exact same thing. I had 30 days, and then I was like, screw it, I'm going out tonight. Was
You got
drinking
it.
the next morning. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Because we proved we're not alcoholics.
exactly.
So we need to celebrate
Yep.
our success, right?
Hmm. Straight to the pub.
And so, yeah, she's like, okay. And then my stepmom, my dad were coming over for Thanksgiving, and my oldest's birthday fell on Thanksgiving that year. And I said, we should get some wine. She said, okay. I'm like, I'll get it. I got it. I'll get it. I'm on it. I got it.
You're the guy.
I got you. And I got enough booze to get an army drunk. And there's 4 of us, right? And I know how much is riding on this, right? Like, I can't get drunk. I can't. I have to demonstrate to her that I can drink, right? And of course, what happens? I can't stop. I have one, and I'm having this out of body experience. And it wasn't often that I actually tried to moderate because I knew myself well enough to know that I can't, but I needed to. My marriage was riding on this. Like everything was riding on this. I didn't want to get divorced again, man. And so I'm having this out of body experience. I can't stop myself. I'm drinking half drank wine from other people. I'm sneaking extra alcohol that I bought in the garage, and I make a complete ass out of myself. And I almost cut my hand off carving the turkey. And everybody's gone at the end, and she looks at me and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" And she wasn't trying to be mean. I think she really wanted to know what was wrong with me. And my oldest looks at her and looks at me and says, "What do you mean? It's just dad. And he's just drunk again."
Oof, that hurts.
I ain't fooling nobody.
Not even the kids are looking past it.
You got it. You got it. And that, I think, really was the moment where I realized I could no longer deny it anymore. Right? I went for so long rationalizing and denying and telling myself it wasn't a problem and trying to prove to myself that it wasn't a problem and prove to other people that it wasn't a problem. It just became impossible for me to deny. And she said, "You got to go to treatment." I was like, "Okay." And I'm going to treatment so I don't get divorced again. I ain't going to treatment because I want to get sober. That's not what I'm doing here. Like, I just don't want to get divorced again. And I get into that treatment counselor's office, and I can't tell you what came over me, man, but for the first time in my entire life, I got completely honest with another human being about everything, all of it.
Yeah.
And it felt awful and a total relief
Necessary.
at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yep.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Same thing when my first day in rehab. I went in still in denial, still thinking I'm just going to sugarcoat everything and get this over with. And within that first conversation, I could tell that counselor was not feeding into my bullshit. And I was just like, you know what? I'll just get it out there. And then after that, for some reason, I started taking things seriously. So I get it.
Isn't that amazing? I was this out of body experience, kind of like I wasn't planning on doing that, and was not the plan. Was to like completely bare my soul to this treatment counselor, right? But that's what I did. It marked the true beginning of my recovery because that was the first time I was honest with another human being about all of it, including myself. And she's like, "What do you want to get out of this thing?" I was like, "I just want to know why I am the way I am." And she laughed at me. She says, "Okay, well, let's say it's because you have big addicts and alcoholic switches and they're about to get tripped. Or let's say it's because of the trauma. Do you think if you find out why you are the way you are, you'll ever be able to drink normally again?" I was like, "Nah, I don't think so. No, I've proved that without a shadow of a doubt that I lack the capability of drinking normally. Do you think you'll ever be able to use safely again?" "No, I don't. No, I don't." She's like, "Sweet. Should we figure out how we get better instead of why you are the way you are?" I was like, "Yes, let's do that." And that was that. Let's do that. I just want to get better. And I just don't ever want to feel like this again. And that started it.
Was it affecting your health as opposed to just getting sloshed all the time? Or like, was it any noticeable health concerns?
Yes. And I didn't really tie it in until a little bit later. But first of all, I am 5'7", and when I got into treatment, I weighed 117 pounds.
Jeez.
So I was extremely unhealthy because I wasn't eating. Because one of my bright ideas was, well, if I don't really eat all day, then it doesn't take as much for me to get hammered in.
I've heard of people thinking like that.
Brilliant. Brilliant. A brilliant way to circle the drain,
Yeah.
which is really at the end what I was doing, man. I wasn't eating for almost a year and only surviving off of junk food after I get drunk. So I'd get drunk and then I'd binge on junk food. Right. And so, yeah, I developed kidney disease because of it. They can't prove it. They don't know why it started. I don't have it in my family. There's no history of kidney disease in my family. But when I got sober, my kidney disease spontaneously went into remission. And so I also was put on a medication. That medication really wasn't for, yeah, so who knows? I believe that my sobriety was the answer there in terms of my kidney disease that's been in remission for 10 years now. But yes, massive health issues from an overall wellness perspective. And it's amazing too, because I didn't know I was physically dependent until I stopped and then realized that all these symptoms that I'm experiencing in early recovery. That's withdrawal. But I was so disconnected from my body. You know what I mean?
You're just like, nah, I just need my next beer, even though
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
it. Like,
anxious, whatever, but I'm
yeah.
just anxious because
But
I'm
I
not
always
drunk
feel
yet.
anxious. So whatever.
Yeah.
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 That's normal.
Yeah. That's how
Like
I
that's
was. I didn't even notice like actual signs until I started been to the doctor enough times. Had a few many times where I had to take a few days off. I'm like, wow, I've really been experiencing alcohol withdrawal since I was like 20.
yes, dude. I had
Pretty
no
frightening.
idea. But we're so disconnected from our bodies, man. Like, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah, like that's just a part of it. And then I come back into the rooms of 12 step and it really felt like I was coming home. Like all these time the first 2 times in 12 step, I wasn't serious about trying to get better, and I would wax poetic about steps I wasn't working. And the old timers would just keep saying, "Keep coming back, Charlie, keep coming back." And now I know what they meant when they
Yeah.
said that. Now I know. They meant you need to keep coming back.
It
You
makes a
really
difference.
need.
Did you do the 90 and
But they were
90 or
just
something?
I did. Yep,
Nice.
I did a 90 and 90. I am so grateful to my now ex-wife that she stayed married to me on paper long enough for me to go to treatment at Hazelden and then extended outpatient treatment. She hated my guts, man, but she loved me enough because she had Cadillac insurance and she knew I was not going to be able to go to treatment if I wasn't on her Cadillac insurance. And
Yeah.
so I'm so grateful to her for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that she afforded me the opportunity to go to Hazelden, which is where I went to get EMDR therapy, which was transformational for me in terms of my trauma. And I really believe, man, it took working the 12 steps in order with a sponsor and doing EMDR therapy to unlock my recovery. I needed to do both. Going back to why does this make sense? You know, I got to address the causes and conditions, and she afforded me the opportunity to do that. And yeah, I did a 90 and 90, and I just kept hearing people. And man, this is the first time I really listened to other people's stories. And I was like, these stories are changing me, man. These people drank like I drank, thought like I thought, did what I did, and they got better. And for the first time in my life, I believe that maybe, just maybe, I could get better too, because they were telling my story, right? And they got better. And so I just started doing what they did. Man, if they made their bed in the morning, I made my bed in the morning, right? They
Mhm.
went to 90 and 90 when they first got sober. I went to a 90 and 90. You know what I mean? If they were of service, I was of service,
Yep.
right?
They know what
Like
they're
I just
talking about.
did what they did, right? The people that had what I wanted.
They coming in, collecting. I come in just thinking it's going to be all depressing. And then I see somebody coming in every day that eventually collects their 40-year chip. And that was eye opening to me. I'm like, and they're still coming back. Like, they don't just show up here for a while until they feel better. They're still coming back. So maybe I should keep coming back. And so I still go
Yes,
back every day to this day. So,
dude, I
yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah.
So
Like,
much.
I chaired a meeting today and it's just like more people are showing up more often. It's pretty amazing just to watch those rooms grow.
Yes, dude, our home group has grown like crazy over the last couple years.
Yeah.
During COVID, sometimes there was just 2 of us,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
now, man, our home group will get into 30 people,
Yeah.
right? I love it.
Man.
I love every
So
bit of it.
cool.
And that's the other thing. Like, I understand that my extreme independence is a trauma response, going back to that decision I made not to get too close to people. And I lived my life that way, not getting too close to people. And it was a really, really harmful, self-harmful way to live. Getting into recovery, like even the first 5 years, man, I didn't have a home group. Every time I got too comfortable in one particular group or another, I'd switch. Usually when they started to ask me to go do stuff
Yeah.
outside of the meeting, I'm like,
Mhm.
nope, That's
You can
not
be a
what I'm doing
GSR
here.
now.
Yep. That's not what I'm doing here. Like, that's not what we're doing. I'm here to get sober. I'm not here to, like, do that.
Yeah,
And,
I don't want 'em.
dude, it was interesting because, like, I started observing, like I observed many other things, going back to I keep doing the things that the people that have what I want do. And I realized that one of the biggest things the people that have what I want do is they come to the meeting early and they stay after for a good while. And I would always think, like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
Like, who stays in class too late, you know?
Right. Like, and I would come to meetings like routinely early on, like 5 minutes late. Right. And then bam, I boogie right after the meeting. Right. And look, certainly better than not going to meetings, I'm going to tell you. And I like the meetings and I like the people. I really did. It wasn't like I didn't like the people. I loved them. I really did. And I liked the meetings and I was healing and I was learning and I was growing. This piece was definitely, and my recovery, man, has been marked by letting go of things that don't serve me anymore, right? That's been my recovery. I let go of drugs and alcohol coming back in this time round about 11 years ago. They definitely weren't serving me. And then a massive caffeine and nicotine addiction in early recovery, and I let that go, right? Not right away. It was like a year and change in because my higher power let me know it was time. A sugar addiction, like, dude, the amount of sugar that I consumed early in the first few years in recovery, I let that go. And this is another thing that I let go was thinking I needed to always keep my distance from people, always keep the boundary up super high, don't let people in, right? And what I started recognizing is the people that came early and stayed late, when something hard in their lives came up, like all these other people, Ryan, would rally around them and support them, right? And then if somebody else in their group would have a hard time, they'd rally around them, right? And at first it was sort of like, I don't need your stupid 12-step click. I don't need that. But then something changed, something shifted, and I was going through a really hard thing and I wanted that. And I kind of hated that I wanted it, to be quite honest with you, Ryan. Like, I kind of hate that I want this, but I recognize that I wanted that. And so I started being vulnerable because other people were showing me how to be vulnerable. I started being vulnerable, right? Like, here's what's really going on. And I started coming early and I started staying late. And now I have a home group and I do things with them. And it's amazing. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's like one of the greatest things in recovery.
I know. I'm going to yoga tonight with a guy, one of my buddies from the group. I never imagined that my good friends would be in their 70s and I'd be going to yoga. You know, it's like
I love that
crazy,
so
the stuff you meet. Yeah.
Dude, no, I love that so much.
Yeah. It's all because of those meetings, though.
Yes. What do they say in the book? A group of people that normally wouldn't mix, right?
Yep. But we all have one thing in common.
That's right.
Yep.
That's absolutely correct. You bet.
Just for today.
That's just what I keep learning things, man, through the podcast, right? And I started the podcast because I wanted these stories that I was hearing to get out of church basements, right? Like, the podcast is dang near 10 years old. And there wasn't a lot of recovery podcasts then. There's a lot now, and I think it's amazing. I love it.
Definitely shout out the name of the podcast and what it was like starting it and all that stuff, the whole meaning behind it.
Yeah, dude, the Way Out podcast, and anybody that's a 12-stepper might know the reference there. That was the initial name for the big book before they found out that there was like 12 other books called that. And so they switched the name to that book. So yeah, it's an homage to that. And yeah, I started it because this time coming back into recovery, these stories were changing me. And I'm like, these need to get out of church basements and more accessible to people, right? Because there's a lot of reasons people might not find themselves making it to a meeting. First of all, it's extremely intimidating for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Some people have physical challenges that prevent them from being able to get into meetings. Some people have other challenges, geographic challenges, right? Like there's just a million reasons why it might not be super easy for you to make it to a recovery meeting. And so I wanted to get these recovery stories out, right? And so, because if they were changing me, I had a pretty good feeling they'd change other people.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And you've been doing it for 10 years now. And
Yeah.
do you say it's a big part of your recovery? Just hearing other stories, talking to other people in recovery. It's pretty
Yes.
motivating for you. Yeah.
I
Same
love
here.
it, dude. I learned something new every time,
Same here.
right?
Take something from everything.
Yes, it's been such a big part of my recovery, Ryan. Like, people have taught me so much through their stories. Like, I would not be who I am today. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the podcast and all the things I learned along the way. And I'm so grateful for it. And I don't see us stopping anytime soon because I just love it too much, man. I love hearing other people's recovery stories. I love recovering out loud. And I love what I learn.
And I love you. Probably what I love about it is I've met a lot of great people in this community that I never would have expected, like social media and all that that's associated with the podcast. It's like some of these people I keep in touch with on a daily basis, and we keep each other updated. And some of them I feel like I could reach out to, just like somebody from a meeting, and be like, I'm having a rough day, and they can give you some support. So, and vice versa. So, yeah,
Absolutely. No
it's pretty
question about it. Yes. And yes, great relationships, right? As a result of the podcast and just the spiritual truth that I've received as the result of this podcast. It's a lifetime. It's more than a lifetime. It's like 10 lifetimes of spiritual truth, right? That I've
yeah.
received as a result of the podcast and as a result of my 12-step program. Put those two together, and it's just so many lifetimes of spiritual truth and wisdom. You know, I try to keep it simple these days, though, man. I try to keep it really simple these days because I've learned that keeping it simple for me keeps it achievable.
Exactly. You don't want to set your standards too high. So, put too much on your plate. It gets overwhelming and you just want to do what works. If it's working and I'm sober another day and have a podcast, everybody's happy, then why switch it up? If it ain't broke, don't
That's
fix it.
it. No kidding, man. And so, yeah, like I live by just a few fundamental spiritual truths, which is, I'm here to be of maximum service to the God of my understanding and the people around me. And I do that by doing the next right thing. And it can be big or small, but I can apply that in all instances of my life. What is the next right thing to do? Sometimes that's
Exactly.
doing the dishes. Sometimes that's not saying anything and not giving somebody my opinion, right? What's the next right thing? And that really goes to my motives. Am I trying to help you or am I trying to help me? If I'm trying to help you by doing the next right thing, everything else takes care of itself. And that's been demonstrated over and over, man, in my recovery. Amazing things have happened in my professional life and my personal life because I keep doing the next right thing. And the rest of it just freaking takes care of itself.
It's a very powerful 4 words, I swear.
Yes. Yeah. If they are for me, man, it is my mantra.
So what advice would you give to my listeners after all you've experienced and what you've learned the last, 11 or so years being sober and in recovery? And you were just like me, where you tried stopping, tried proving that you weren't an alcoholic and all that. So what
Yeah.
advice would you give being where you're at now?
I would say a couple things. There are no rock bottoms in recovery. Your bottom is when you stop digging.
It's got a trap door.
Nope. That's right. Your bottom is when you stop digging. You can stop digging at any time. And there's no bad reason to get into recovery. Any reason is a good reason to get into recovery. ultimately, I've found it has to be for me in the end, but doesn't have to start that way. Any reason to get into recovery is a good reason to get into recovery. So those are the things that I would say. And then last but not least, allow yourself the grace to understand that you were doing the best you could with what you had at the time. And you could put the bad away, quit beating yourself up, and do that next right thing. And so that would be the thing too, is man, just do the next right thing.
I love that. Awesome. Very well said. And I appreciate you sharing your story and being vulnerable on my show. And I think us being vulnerable and opening up a platform to have other people come on and talk about their lives, because we all have a different story, but we all, like we said earlier, want the same thing. And I think we're setting up a platform for people to share and get it out of those church basements, which I love. And I love those church
Absolutely.
basements, but it's nice talking about it out here, out in the open.
No question about it, man. And your brother from another mother and man after my own heart, Ryan, recovering out loud. So thank you, man, for what you do. Thank you for recovering out loud and sharing real stories of recovery that people can actually relate to and identify with. That is such a powerful thing that you're doing. And I know how much work it takes,
Yeah, it's consuming for sure, but worth it.
but it's worth it, man. We get out what we put in, right, into this thing for sure. And the other thing I would really say from my perspective, if I was to give any advice, and I never listen to anybody's advice, but community, 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 connect, 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 and do it in a way that is safe for you. It took a long time, as we talked about, for me to really truly connect in an authentic and vulnerable way. A long, long, long time. And that's okay. It takes what it takes, right? So just keep making the attempt to connect and keep connecting and stay in the middle of whatever recovery community that you find welcoming to you. I don't care if that's 12-step or SMART or Dharma or Refuge. Don't care. Celebrate recovery. Like, find one that speaks to you, man, and connect to that and stay in the middle of it, because community is such a big, big, big part of recovery. And we can recover alone, some of us, but why would you want to?
It's so true. It's so true. And we aren't alone. There's so many resources out there, so many people willing to talk, willing to help, willing to give advice, and there's so many different avenues you can take for recovery. You don't have to choose to go to meetings. You don't have to do this or that. It's whatever works.
That's right. Yep, but find that community like Phoenix. That's great. I love what Phoenix is doing. If that speaks to you, do that, right?
Yeah. Yep. There's somebody from Minnesota that talks about that all the time. He's been on my show a couple of times and speaks very highly about Phoenix and all the people she meets through there. So it's pretty cool.
Yes, and I love that. And I'm just such a big advocate of that, right? Like, we elevate and celebrate all pathways to recovery.
Yeah.
Right? Like, find one that speaks to you and get in the middle of it.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate it. And you can find Charlie at the Way Out Podcast on Instagram. And then if there's any other, do you have a website or anything like that? Or?
It's wayoutcast, all one word.com. And you can find all the things at wayoutcast.com. And Ryan, brother, thank you for all that you do and for having me on.
Thanks for being on. Looking forward to being on your show soon.
Hey, man, it's soon, so I'm looking forward to it as well.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.